Here is how I will be a great ECE, my final reflection video.
Hi, my name is Amber Zealand, and one of the reasons I decided to return to do my ECE is me, Piper, and Gavin. This is my 8-year-old and 5-year-old, and I wanted to learn more about their development.
I graduated from undergrad with a psychology and English, and I was stuck with that inevitable question of, well, what do I do next? So, my first thought was to follow my passion and interest with kids and start looking into becoming an occupational therapist. But a lot of my friends were doing the typical desk job or administrative type work, so I wondered maybe that was an option for me. I also, with my English degree, was wondering maybe I should look into doing advertising. I thought about marketing, maybe TV, radio, print. I was really confused. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started volunteering. I initially started volunteering with the population of autism, which is what I'd had the opportunity of working with when I was figure skating. And I really liked volunteering with this population and getting more experience. But I also had the opportunity of starting to volunteer with some individuals that had Down syndrome, as well as some individuals that had some learning disability, ADHD, as well as some dyslexia and just some other challenges. And while I was doing this, I learned about this thing called applied behavior analysis. I was hooked. What is applied behavior analysis? Applied behavior analysis is the science of behavior. It looks at what is the triggers or what is the antecedents or the causes of behavior, so what happens before, but also what happens after or the reinforcement. What is it that's likely to increase the future probability of a behavior? But also, we really focus on what is it that makes it a socially significant behavior. So when we look at putting in strategies to alter or increase change behaviors, we want to make sure that it's socially significant both to the people around the individual, but more specifically the individual themselves. So I realized with this journey, it meant that I was going to be returning back to school. And so I returned to get my master's. I completed a master's of applied disabilities with specialization in applied behavior analysis. But this is only step one. I then had to have supervision with a board certified behavior analyst, which included 1,500 hours of actual work in the field with 75 hours of direct supervision under this BCBA. Only after I had done this could I write an actual exam which included 150 multiple choice questions, and they were all part of a specific task list that covered all the domains that we had been studying both in my master's and then being trained under with my supervision. So, what is a behavior analyst? Well, what my friends think I do, what parents think I do, what society thinks I do, what my boss thinks I do, what I sometimes think I do. But what I actually do, I actually work with kids. And that's really what got me into the world of ECE, as I was working with kids and working in childcare. And I realized that this is when I really wanted to come back and look into the world of early childhood educators because here I was as this behavior analyst. I had all this education and training looking at the unique features and the unique trainings of behavior, but here I was working with all these ECs and there was this big gap. And I really felt like I needed to have a bridge between what was this behavior analyst world and the world of the ECE. We both had the best interests of children and we wanted to work with the skills, and I was really feeling like we were speaking different language sometimes. And so I really wanted to look at how could I look at collaboration and understanding so that I could be offering the best sort of behavior analytic services into the world of childcare, because there are so many kids out there, whether it's because they have autism, Down syndrome, or just typically developing but struggling with behaviors that are those square pegs trying to fit into the round holes. And so there's these amazing ECEs that are out there in the field who have these great educations in curriculum, program development, child skills, and yet here I was with all this training in specifically how do we study behavior, and somehow we were just not melding together. And so I just felt like returning back to school and getting the education and understanding of how the ECEs perceive the world, I could be a more effective and better behavior analyst working with these kids so that we could collaborate and become better able to service this population of kids who were struggling in the child care situation. Because one of my special guys is a square peg, and I want them to succeed just like all those other pegs.